Welcome back to Pace Immigration, paceimmigration.com, joined by a special guest today. Great to see her down in Antigua. We are joined by Charmaine Quinland-Donovan, the CEO of the Antigua and Barbuda Citizenship by Investment Unit. Charmaine, good to see you.
Oh, good to see you too, Sean. Such a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, thank you. A little nicer down there. I assume I'm up in Toronto. It is February, but down in Antigua, things are beautiful, I assume.
Yeah, absolutely gorgeous. If you could only see outside the sun, the blue sky with some white clouds just specked across. Wow,
Great.
picturesque.
We spend a lot of time talking about the Antigua program to clients of Pace Law Firm or prospective clients of Pace Law Firm. And I thought it would be great to talk to you today to get a personal perspective. You are, of course, the CEO of the program, which is huge, but also you've spent a ton of time down there. So you're a great asset to educate people about the program. Let's talk about Antigua. I've got some stuff on the screen here. If you're listening on the podcast, go on over to YouTube. You can look at the slides. But we don't necessarily need to follow them point by point. But let's talk about Antigua itself for just a moment. We have here on the screen the population of 90,000+, a relatively small population, and other things on the screen. But give us a sense of what it's like to live and be in Antigua.
Okay, Antigua is a twin island state. The actual official name of the country is Antigua and Barbuda. Barbuda is a few miles to the north of Antigua and Barbuda, and it is 62 square miles, and Antigua is 108 square miles. So the islands are pretty small, but we do have a lot of room to invite those persons who would like to make Antigua and Barbuda their home. It's a really beautiful country to live in. The people here are very warm and friendly. For decades, at least 6 decades, we have been hosting tourists, mainly from North America and Europe. Every summer, they're here, or in the winter especially, you see a lot of them here trying to get a tan while their friends, their counterparts, are suffering in the cold. So we are very accustomed to greeting people and making them feel at home in our beautiful Twin Island state. And in terms of life on Antigua and Barbuda, there are a number of persons who, during the pandemic, they would have taken up the opportunity as digital nomads to spend time in Antigua, sort of ride out the COVID storm in Antigua and Barbuda. And a number of them, because it was so easy to assimilate to the country, the climate, and everything. There are a number of them who actually applied to become citizens of Antigua and Barbuda through our program and are now full-fledged citizens and permanently living here, purchased real estate, and so on. So in terms of lifestyle in Antigua and Barbuda, our educational system, our medical facilities, and just the way of life overall is very close to what you have come to expect of a first world country. So it's very easy to move to Antigua and reside here. As a matter of fact, we are a travel hub for the Caribbean. Most persons who would like to visit the other Caribbean islands tend to come to Antigua because we have daily flights to and from North America, so the US, Canada, and the UK. And so in terms of getting to Antigua and Barbuda, it's very, very easy. Yeah, so we have, I was speaking to you about our medical facilities.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, last week, we just completed again 2 successful kidney transplants. I happen to know one of the patients who received a kidney, and I also know the donor who gave that kidney, and they're both recovering very, very well. Those 2 last surgeries mark the 10th kidney transplants that have happened in Antigua and Barbuda. So this goes to show you that our medical facilities are of a high standard. We also have a cancer treatment center. There are a number of persons in the neighboring Caribbean islands who come to Antigua and Barbuda for cancer treatment. In terms of education, we have several tertiary institutions here. Most recently, we have the Five Islands campus, a landed campus, the fourth landed campus of the University of the West Indies. The University of the West Indies is a well-known Caribbean brand. It's actually in the top 1.5 percentile in universities worldwide. So it's a big deal for us that we were able to have the fourth landed campus here. Each year, the number of students attending that university grows. We're close to 1,000 enrolled in the university at this point. We also have two medical universities. The most popular of the two is the American University of Antigua. And the persons who have successfully completed their study at that particular university are able to have residency in the US because the university has agreements with universities in the United States. And we do get quite a number of students from varied backgrounds from all over the world. The enrollment is at about 1,000 right now. So in terms of a choice to live, to retire, Antigua is the best, bar none.
Yeah, it sounds fantastic. We were talking off camera. I've been there a few times. I worked on cruise ships for years when I was doing some broadcast stuff and satellite communication stuff there. And we get off in Antigua. The American, the medical university and everything sounds amazing. The only thing I can add is that it's got a great golf course, and also that one of the pizza shops there makes easily the best pizza in the Caribbean, as far as I recall, if not the Western Hemisphere. The pizza there is amazing if you like deep dish. So wow. I really did enjoy it. So that's my addition to what you can get in Antigua, such as it is.
Thank you for the shout out. And one thing that I forgot to mention, and sure. I think it's really important, is that our main language is English. And so it's very easy to get around here in Antigua and Barbuda. And our population is very well educated. We're at a 99% literacy rate. So it's very easy to interact with our people.
Yeah, I found the people fantastic, the place, the weather, everything. It was a great place when I was visiting there, and I'm sure it hasn't changed in that regard. Let's talk about the program itself a little bit, some of the nitty-gritty of the program. First of all, why would people... Maybe let's just start from the top. Maybe people don't really know what we're even talking about. Talk about citizenship by investment in general.
Okay. Well, citizenship by investment has become one of the number one vehicles for persons to explore their opportunities. Citizenship by investment allows persons who are born in parts of the world who may be war-torn or have certain difficulties to be able to move around globally without the need for acquiring visas for every jurisdiction that he or she has to visit. We find that a number of business persons who like to actually travel to have their meetings and to visit the places where they're conducting business. A lot of them find it very cumbersome to be able to acquire the visas for the number of territories that they need to visit on a particular trip. And so becoming a citizen of Antigua and Barbuda affords you the opportunity to hold a travel document that gets you to more than 165 countries without the requirement of a visa. So that's a huge deal. Additionally, people are looking for citizenship for a plan B. Earlier we spoke about those digital nomads who came to Antigua to ride out the COVID storm. And so if it is that you're a citizen of Antigua and Barbuda, we have, even though we're only 108 square miles, we have a lot of empty landmass that people can occupy. We're not very crowded. As you indicated earlier, we're 90,000 people. So there is space to welcome more. And because of our standard of living, our education, and our healthcare system and so on, it's very easy for persons to make the transition to Antigua and Barbuda. If you work in an industry where you do not necessarily have to be physically there daily, you can stay on Antigua and Barbuda and run your business. So a lot of people are looking for opportunities like that. Also, because of our flexible tax regime, people find it more beneficial to obtain second citizenship, so that they're able to manage their tax expenses on a on an annual basis. In Antigua and Barbuda, you're not taxed on your worldwide income, only the income that you generate in Antigua and Barbuda.
Right. Let's. I'm going to jump to the next slide then, because we do have a couple of points on that. I've got a few just right here if you happen to be watching on the YouTube channel about the benefits of the program. Sure. But you have mentioned the tax and wealth management, about like the zero personal income tax. Talk about some of this stuff.
Right. So in Antigua and Barbuda, currently we do not have personal income tax. If you do own a business here and you are generating income in Antigua and Barbuda, then there are taxes that will apply. However, if your business is also international, you will not be taxed on the income that you generate worldwide. If you reside in Antigua and Barbuda, of course there are taxes when you purchase, so consumer taxes, which is common to every country. Sure. But in terms of your personal income, you don't have to be concerned about tax liability with your income. In terms of our banking system, we are a well-managed and well-structured bank. Antigua and Barbuda is part of the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union, and that is being managed by the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank. Our currency is the Eastern Caribbean dollar, and it has been pegged since the 1970s to the US dollar, $1 US dollar to $2.70 EC dollars. So that has been stable for many, many decades.
And you, if you don't mind me saying, I'm going to give you a shout out. I mean, you have extensive experience in the financial services industry. Just talk a little bit about your background there.
Oh dear. You're putting me on the spot.
It's time to you've got to brag a little bit. I mean, you're an expert in this field. Let me cue you with this. We've got here from your biography. I've got Charmaine's employment history includes her almost 9-year tenure at the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, where she served as a bank examiner. You were in anti-money laundering and compliance. Just talk a little bit about that history.
Yeah, I don't like to blow my own horn, but for the purpose of this discussion, yes, sure. I do have quite a number of years experience in the banking industry. I started out in commercial banking here in Antigua and Barbuda, and then I moved over to St. Kitts and Nevis, where the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, that same monetary authority I spoke about, which manages the financial services in the currency union. I moved there in 2001, actually, and I was a banking regulator for 8.5 years. So that meant that I would visit all of the commercial or domestic banks and branches of the foreign banks in the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union. Just as a backdrop, the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union includes Antigua and Barbuda, Dominica, St. Kitts and Nevis, Grenada, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, and the Grenadines, Anguilla, and Montserrat. So these are all Caribbean islands that are part of the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union. So as a bank examiner, we were required to travel to each of these banks to examine them, to ensure that they continue to be operated in a safe and sound manner. Then from the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, I moved over to the Bank of Nova Scotia, and I was the head of compliance in that outfit, managing teams in 9 Caribbean countries, including St. Martin and Barbados, and 7 other countries in the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union. And then from there, the Antigua and Barbuda government decided to venture into this industry, the investment migration space. And so I returned home to Antigua and Barbuda to work with the Citizenship by Investment Unit. So I've been working with the unit from since inception, except for a brief hiatus for about 15 months. And then I came back as the Chief Executive Officer in 2017. So next month, it'll be 6 years since I'm in this position.
So a long and distinguished career, and I'm glad I got you to talk about it. If you don't mind. We'll get back to the program. One of the things you mentioned, and a big deal with citizenship by investment, is of course the power that a second passport gives to people in order to visit other countries that perhaps maybe their original passport wouldn't allow them to do. So we've got on the screen here about the passport with the 165 countries. Talk about this a little bit.
Yes. So our passport is very useful in the sense that when you're planning your trips, there are very few countries that you would need to concern yourself with obtaining a visa before you actually travel. And this really helps. It even helps me as I travel to promote the program, because most places I visit, I do not necessarily need to have a visa, sorry. So, I mean, this has been really attractive for many persons. We've processed almost 4,000 applications since our inception. And of course, these applications have multiple persons because we are mainly attracting large families, especially within the last 5 years. I think families tend to prefer Antigua and Barbuda for a number of reasons. Yeah, for a number of reasons. As I said, it's very easy to move and assimilate in Antigua and Barbuda. I know of at least 5 families. They're more because they're not required to tell us, but at least 5 families that have moved in the recent years to Antigua and Barbuda with small children. Some of them attending the same schools that my children are attending.
Right.
And so. So the families tend to find Antigua and Barbuda attractive, as well as the cost of applying to this program is a lot more attractive as a family.
Okay.
Yes. So
with the travel, the visa-free, we're going to get to the process and the cost a little bit in the next slide. But just with the visa-free travel to 165 countries, if I'm not mistaken, that's actually increased over the last few years. Is that right?
Yes, we are actively working on solidifying further agreements because it not only benefits the persons who apply to the program, but it benefits native Antiguans and Barbudans as well.
Of course.
And it also raises the profile of the country. So this is something that is actively being worked on with our Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And so you can expect to see this number continue to increase. Right now, we the countries that we have visa-free access to include the United Kingdom and the Schengen area of the European Union.
Right. Okay, so let's move on to the nitty-gritty of the program. I don't want to get down too much into minutia. We have a lot of literature on that, and you're going to be meeting with people and talking to them about that one-on-one. But there are, in general, 3 ways to apply, and maybe touch on each of these 3 if you could.
Sure. So there are 3 broad categories, but there are really 4 options. Okay. So the first broad category, contribution to the government. So what most people call a donation. You have the National Development Fund, as well as the investment in the University of the West Indies Fund. And this came on board in the last few years, 2018 or 2019, to help to finance the 4th landed campus I spoke about earlier. The intention is to expand this campus, and most recently the government would have signed a loan agreement with the UAE to be able to fund the larger expansion of the campus. However, to be able to ensure that this campus runs annually, the persons who apply under this option, their contribution goes directly to the University of the West Indies. So those are the 2, so those are the 2 contribution or donation options that we have. National Development Fund, and the the University of the West Indies Fund, let me just highlight here, is the actual fund that is most attractive to large families, because whereas with the National Development Fund, the minimum contribution is 100,000, and if the number of family members in that application increases to 5, then that contribution is 125,000. With the National Development Fund, you are also required to pay processing fees. However, with the University of the West Indies fund option, there is the investment amount of 150,000, which includes the processing fees of 30,000, and the minimum family size is 6. So when you compare the family sizes with the options, most people tend, if they have large families, to gravitate towards the UE.
Interesting. And when we're talking dollars, we're talking US dollars, is that right?
Yes, that's
Yes.
correct.
Okay.
United States dollars.
Right.
And
Okay.
then the other two broad options are an investment in real estate. We have quite a number of properties available for which persons can choose. I know you say you didn't want to get to the minutia, but
It's all right.
I really needed to highlight that there are
Let's do it.
pathways.
Yeah.
3 pathways under this option. Is either you purchase a unit outright for a minimum of 400,000 United States dollars, or the second pathway at that same price point, 400,000, minimum threshold. You can also partner with a family member, and each applicant would contribute 200,000 to purchase of that unit.
Oh, okay.
Or the third pathway, you can purchase a unit outright for 200,000 as long as you're able to find units at that price point. Because traditionally, since inception of the program, the real estate threshold, the minimum has always been 400,000. You find that the majority of the units here available now are at that level. However, we know that there are some developers who are building units as we speak for the 200,000 threshold.
Now, I think it's key for people to understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you can't just, open up the newspaper or go online and find a property in Antigua and then go about this. It has to be an approved property. Is that right?
This is correct. You are so correct, Sean. So okay. We have designated areas on the country that the government has approved for development under the program. And then we also have approved developments, which already have units available for sale. And so the applicant would need to choose one of those approved units if they're applying on the program.
Okay. And the third one here, establishing a business. Don't hear about this too much as compared to the other two, but maybe touch on it.
Sure. But let's just close out the real estate
Please
for
do.
a bit.
Sure.
So the applicant is required to hold the investment for at least 5 years. And then after the first 5 years, they're able to resell once under the program. So there is a way out for you if you do not want to hold that unit forever. After the first 5 years, you're able to sell. So I just wanted to highlight that.
No,
And
thank
we
you.
can move on to the investment in business. So similar to the approved projects on the real estate, we have approved businesses that persons can invest in. And the process for that is a little different. It is that you can introduce a new business to the country, and then we can work with the government to have that as an approved business for the program. Or you can purchase an existing business and utilize that to under the program as well. So the threshold for that particular option, if you are a single investor, you must at least invest 1.5 million United States dollars. If you are a group, more than one person, the minimum threshold is 5 million, with each person contributing 400,000. So by way of example, if you and a business partner come together to invest under this category, your business partner must at least contribute 400,000, and then you would be responsible for the remaining 4.6 million.
Yeah, it sounds like they really want to make sure, the government wants to make sure that you have some skin in the game. I mean, if you're going to
Yes,
go the business route, then it has to be a substantial investment.
this is correct. This is
Okay.
correct.
Let's move on to some takeaways. I don't want to take up too much more of your time. I think we've gone over some really good highlights of the program, but I've got some key takeaways, at least the way I saw it when I made this slide that I put up on the screen. If you could touch on a couple of these that you find interesting.
Oh, sure. We have a very straightforward application process. So as long as we get a completed application package with all of the required supporting documentation, the process takes at least 3 months from submission to approval. There are times when we're able to issue an approval before the 3 months expires. And then the law gives the new applicant the opportunity to send the investment or make the investment within 30 days. So it's not that, okay, you're approved today, so you have to make the investment tomorrow. You have a 30-day window within which to make that investment and also pay all outstanding government fees and your passport fees. And our unit is very unique in that we are the only unit in the region that facilitates the passport process. So it's one seamless process and one seamless experience for the applicant, rather than you making your investment, obtaining your proof of citizenship, and then having to deal with the passport office on your own or through your agent. So once you've made your investment, we ensure that your certificate of registration, which is your actual proof that you are a citizen of Antigua and Barbuda, and we take your passport application and work directly with the passport office, ensure everything is, all of the process is done smoothly, and then at the end, you get an entire package of your certificate as well as your passport. And so traditionally, that can take from 2 weeks to a month. So all in all, we manage persons' expectations by saying that the entire process takes between 4 to 6 months from beginning to end.
That's actually incredibly efficient and fast, it seems to me.
Yes, it is.
Very
and
good.
we're very proud of it. We've worked very hard to ensure that we have streamlined the process such that we understand that people really are interested in becoming citizens in the shortest possible time. Most persons are really, really eager to become citizens and hold that travel document in hand. And so we are very happy that through the help of partners, so feedback from successful applicants, feedback from our authorized representatives and other key partners, we have been able to streamline our process to make it very efficient and seamless.
Excellent. We've got a couple of other points here. We've talked about the wealth management and the tax planning, the passport peace of mind. Something that I'd like to touch on, though, if we skip on down to just number 5 there, or maybe 4 and 5, is lifestyle. Vince Lalonde, one of the lawyers at Pace Immigration, counsels Canadians too. Like, some people think of it, like we were saying, that you need a second passport in order to escape maybe hardship or something in a country. But even a country that, a relatively peaceful country like Canada, this is still a great retirement opportunity for a lot of people as well.
Agreed. So yes, we've seen that, and the example I gave earlier about the digital nomad, persons just want a tranquil place to reside. From my experience, people are not just waiting until they retire. Even younger persons just want to move away from the hustle and bustle. We talk about the level of pollution in other countries. Antigua, the air is free and clean. You look up, it's blue skies all the time. I remember how shocked I was when I got to China first, and I looked up and all I saw was gray. I couldn't see the sky, Yeah. And so I think we take a lot of that for granted here as Caribbean nationals, that, you're always a stone's throw away from the beach, and life here is just really great and free. We didn't speak earlier about the low crime rate here. We actually do live in paradise. It's literally or relatively crime free. A lot of times I leave my home in the morning and forget to lock my door, and I get back and or I fall asleep with the door unlocked.
Yeah.
And this is true peace of mind. So a lot of persons just want to live in that bliss and not wait until their senior years. So it's not only at retirement, it's just for peace of mind. And as persons think about healthier living and a better and cleaner environment, they tend to choose countries that are conducive to that. In terms of the real estate opportunity here in Antigua and Barbuda, when we look at the offerings of the other programs in the region, you will see that Antigua and Barbuda, the options here, the real estate options here are far superior. One of the main reasons is because we live in a hurricane belt, and although we don't get hurricanes every year, we have been hit by some pretty severe ones. And so because of that, our building codes are extremely robust, extremely rigid and strict. And so you find that the quality of the building as a result of it is superior value for your money.
Excellent point. Yeah. Excellent point.
We touched on lifestyle earlier in terms of, the education level here, the healthcare system, the economy, the financial services. You go into our supermarkets here and you can find food from almost every culture. We have international foods here readily available in our supermarkets. So in terms of the lifestyle, Antiguans and Barbudans really enjoy a really great lifestyle here in the Caribbean. We can't wait to welcome more of you.
I was going to say, I've got to go down there again now, like really soon, because it sounds so great. It's bringing back a lot of great memories, really. As I want to say, I visited there maybe a dozen times over a couple of years when I would dock in port there. I mean, once in a while we'd overnight, but usually it was just for the day. But it was a great experience, and I'd love to get down there and see it again, and hopefully meet you in person, because you're an extremely accomplished person. You know the stuff like the back of your hand. People would be very wise to take you up on the offer of meeting. Let's touch on quickly. I know that you will leave this online. People might see this down the road, but you are coming to Egypt in March of 2023. Maybe touch on that a bit.
Yes, and I'm so excited. I will be in Egypt from the 11th of March until the 16th. So I'll be spending a bit of time there and making myself available to meet persons who are interested in the unique opportunities that are available in Antigua and Barbuda. Really excited about it. It would be my first trip to this region. And I've learned about Egypt in the history books. I've seen the pyramids in color in my school text.
Right. So
it would be great for me to see it firsthand.
Excellent. And our representative there, Marwa Badra, will be in Egypt as well. People can touch base with her at marwa@pacelawfirm.com. They can also reach, of course, info@paceimmigration.com to learn more. Charmaine, can't thank you enough for stopping by. I know you've got a busy schedule. I know you've got all kinds of things going on, but it's great to talk to you. I wish you well on your trip to North Africa and in Egypt, and hopefully we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. And it's really my pleasure, Sean. Anytime. I'll make myself available.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.